A war tent, snow falling silently outside. A dying soldier breathes his last. And in the flicker of candlelight, the most powerful man in the world sits alone, writing, not a battle plan, not a speech for the Senate, not commands for his generals, but this: you have power over your mind, not outside events. His empire is crumbling. His people are dying. He has every reason to seek comfort, revenge, or escape. But instead, he turns inward. This is not a book of victory. It is not about gods, glory, or conquest. It is about a man, an emperor, who realized that the greatest battle is the one within. What do you do when you can't control the world? You master yourself. This is the diary of Marcus Aurelius, the last philosopher king. And these are the meditations, words written not to impress, but to endure. Welcome to part 1 of this journey. If you've ever felt lost, overwhelmed, or angry at the world, you're not alone. Even Rome's emperor sat in silence, asking himself, how do I live a good life in a world I cannot control? Subscribe to the Tunnel of Sane. And now, let's go where even an emperor feared to tread, into the mind. Who was Marcus Aurelius? Born in 121 AD, Marcus Aurelius was not meant to be emperor. He was born Marcus Annius Verus into a noble Roman family and adopted by Emperor Antoninus Pius at the urging of Hadrian himself. From a young age, he was trained not for power, but for philosophy. He wore a rough wool cloak, slept on hard floors. He studied with Stoic teachers, read Epictetus, and practiced self-denial. To Marcus, the empire was not a prize, but a test. He ruled from 161 to 180 AD. During that time, a deadly plague swept through Rome. His own children died. His co-emperor betrayed him. Barbarians threatened the empire's borders. But through it all, Marcus returned to one place: the page, writing to himself again and again. Meditations is not a book for others. It's a diary, a set of reflections written in Greek. Notaites, no audience, no plan. Each entry is a note to his future self. How to live, how to think, how to suffer. They are raw, honest, and sometimes contradictory. But that's what makes them real. His thoughts are shaped by Stoic philosophy, a belief system that teaches the only thing you control is your mind. Virtue is the only good. Everything else, wealth, pain, fame, even death, is indifferent. You must live in harmony with nature and accept your fate without complaint. Section 3, Book 1, Gratitude and Foundations. Meditations opens with something unexpected: gratitude. Marcus lists dozens of people who shaped him. His grandfather, for his integrity. His father, for humility and kindness. His mother, for simplicity and self-control. His teachers, for discipline, endurance, and truth. From my grandfather Verus, I learned good morals and the government of my temper. From my mother, piety and generosity and abstinence. This is more than a thank you list. It's Marcus building his moral foundation, reminding himself of the virtues that shaped his character. It's his way of saying, I didn't get here alone, and I won't stay virtuous alone either. Gratitude, for Marcus, is a moral exercise, to remember that others can be your mirror, your guide, and your warning. Section 4, Book 2, Morning Meditations. Book 2 begins with a harsh truth. Say to yourself in the morning, today I shall meet with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness. Not exactly motivational, but brutally honest. Marcus trains his mind for what he can expect from the world, because expectation is the root of frustration. But he doesn't stop there. He reminds himself that these people are not evil, just ignorant, and that his role is not to change them, but to act justly in spite of them. He also tells himself, do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about others. That line could be written today, in a world filled with gossip, tweets, and outrage. Marcus was saying, mind your soul, not their behavior. Section 5, Book 3, Live According to Nature. Live in agreement with nature. To Marcus, Nature is not just trees or seasons. It's the inner order of things, the logos, the rational law of the universe. Everything that happens is part of a grand design, and we, as humans, must align ourselves with that logic. If a branch breaks in the wind, it does not complain. If rain falls on the emperor and the beggar alike, the universe does not care. So why should we? He reminds himself that all things are fleeting. The universe is transformation. Life is opinion. And that to resist change is to resist the very nature of existence. Section 6, Book 4, Death and the Self. This book is saturated with meditations on death. Soon you will have forgotten all things, and all things will have forgotten you. To many, that's terrifying. To Marcus, it's freeing. Death is not to be feared, but accepted, because it's natural, just like birth, just like the setting of the sun. He also reminds himself, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. That is, your inner world becomes your outer life. So guard your thoughts, like a garden. Weed them daily. Section 7, Stoicism in the Modern World. Imagine living by these principles today. You wake up and expect difficulty, not to be cynical, but prepared. You meet rude people and choose patience. You lose a job and remember, this too is part of nature's plan. You face criticism and stay calm, unmoved. That's Stoicism in action. It's not about being emotionless. It's about being emotionally disciplined, not reacting, responding, and remembering that the only real empire is the one inside your mind. Book 2, Expectation and Self-Control. Book 2 is a psychological warm-up. Marcus starts with what to expect, not what he hopes, but what is. Today I shall meet with ignorance, arrogance, and selfishness. These are not complaints. They are forecasts. He prepares not for a perfect day, but for a real one. And then he reminds himself of something crucial. But none of these things can injure me, for I cannot be made ugly by another's actions. The Stoic understands. You are responsible only for your own soul. No one else's cruelty can stain your virtue, unless you let it. He reflects on the brevity of life. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. To Marcus, the awareness of death doesn't bring panic. It brings focus. When you realize you could die today, what becomes petty? What becomes essential? He also speaks about inner serenity. Nowhere can man find a quieter retreat than in his own soul. This is one of the most powerful lines in the book. He's not talking about escaping to the countryside. He's saying that true peace is found within, if you train your mind to return to it. Section 2, Ego, Judgment, and Simplicity. Marcus warns against one of the most subtle enemies, ego. Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about others. How much energy do we lose gossiping, criticizing, scrolling endlessly? Marcus would say, that's borrowed time you're wasting. Your life is not meant for judgment. It's meant for virtue. He urges a return to simplicity. A man's worth is no greater than the worth of his ambitions. If you chase praise, status, or comfort, you are at the mercy of other people. But if you pursue virtue, truth, courage, justice, you are untouchable. He reminds himself, if someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake, I will gladly change. This is not weakness. This is strength. The strength to be teachable, even as emperor. Section 3, Book 3, Nature and Your Role in the Universe. Now Marcus turns toward nature. Live in agreement with nature. What does this mean? For Marcus, nature is not just the trees or sky. It's the rational, ordered structure of the universe. The logos, the divine law, the design of things. Everything flows according to this pattern. Death, loss, joy, pain. They are not interruptions. They are parts of the whole. He writes, you exist as a part of the whole. If you withdraw your assent from nature, you cut yourself off from the universe. In modern terms, don't fight reality. Flow with it, even when it's uncomfortable. Marcus also reflects on time. Time is like a river made up of the events which happen, and a violent stream. For as soon as a thing has been seen, it is carried away, and another comes in its place. Everything is fleeting. Fame, pain, even memory. So the Stoic asks, why cling to what cannot stay? He again returns to death, not to be morbid, but to wake himself up. Consider how many physicians have died who used to knit their brows over the sick, and how many astrologers who used to predict others' deaths. It's a reminder. Everyone dies, even those who seemed in control. So live, not for legacy, but for this moment. Speech Balloon Section 4. Stoic Practice. What Marcus did daily. How did Marcus put all this into action? He practiced a form of mental journaling, reviewing his day each night and preparing for hardship each morning. He trained his perceptions. Is this within my control? What judgment am I placing on this event? Am I acting according to reason? He saw every interaction as a test. That rude man? A test of patience. That loss? A test of resilience. That praise? A test of humility. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. This is a Stoic's version of strength, not retaliation, but moral endurance. Counterclockwise arrows button, Section 5. Apply this today. Let's bring this forward to our world. You wake up. You check your phone. Notifications. Disappointment. Outrage. Instead, what if you began like Marcus? Today, I will meet rudeness. Today, I will face discomfort, and I will remain centered. What if you expected reality and therefore flowed with it? What if instead of scrolling, you reflected? What matters today? What virtue can I practice now? What am I clinging to that I cannot keep? Marcus reminds you that every day is a chance to start over, to reset your mind, to simplify your soul. Imagine this. You're the most powerful man on earth, Emperor of Rome, and yet you begin your private thoughts with these words. Do not waste what remains of your life in fear of death. Marcus Aurelius had everything the world could offer, but in his heart, he wrestled with time, loss, fatigue, and the meaning of virtue. This is part 3 of our series on meditations. If you've ever wondered, how do I live a natural life in an artificial world? How do I face death without fear? How do I wake up when everything in me wants to stay numb? Then walk with Marcus through books 4 to 6, where ancient Rome meets timeless wisdom. Milky Way, Section 1, Book 4, The River of Time and the Death of Ego. Marcus opens Book 4 with an idea that hits like cold water. Time is like a river of passing events and a violent stream. Everything flows. Nothing lasts. You cannot step into the same river twice, not because the river has changed, but because you have. He reminds himself, it is not death that a man should fear, but never beginning to live. This is not poetic flair. It's a Stoic's alarm clock, ringing against procrastination and fear. He speaks of ego with clarity. Soon you will have forgotten all things, and soon all will have forgotten you. This isn't nihilism, it's freedom. Freedom from needing to impress, from chasing applause, from fearing the judgment of others. He asks, what is your ruling center? What are you doing with it? To Marcus, the ruling center, the rational soul, is the throne of your inner emperor. If you govern it wisely, the outer world can never enslave you. He reminds himself of the sameness of human fate. Alexander the Great and his mule driver both died, and the same thing happened to both. Status is an illusion. Death is the great equalizer. Only character survives. Section 2, Book 5, Morning Discipline and the Purpose of Living. Book 5 begins with a fight we all know, getting out of bed. At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work. As a human being, he asks, were you born to be warm under the covers, or to fulfill your nature? This is powerful. He's saying, stop asking if you feel like it. Ask if it's right. He expands on human nature. Each of us needs to fulfill our purpose as part of the whole. Just like a bee serves the hive, just like a hand belongs to a body, you are part of a greater system. You are not here to hoard. You are here to contribute. Then he hits on one of Stoicism's central ideas. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. No philosophy degrees required. No moral gymnastics. Stoicism is clear. Right action, right speech, right now. He also warns against inner corruption. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. Think resentfully, and you'll live resentfully. Think justly, and you become just. Your thoughts shape your soul. So choose them like you choose what you eat or wear. Section 3, Book 6, Unity with Nature, Logos, and the Power of Reason. Book 6 expands Marcus's view from personal struggle to cosmic harmony. He writes, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it. Change is not the enemy. Resistance to change is. A Stoic welcomes transformation because everything, even suffering, serves the order of nature." He returns to the idea of logos, the divine rationality of the universe. Whatever happens to you was prepared for you by the universe. It fits you exactly. This is not fatalism. It's faith in alignment, that whatever unfolds is part of your training, your becoming. Even pain has purpose. He reminds himself, look within. Within is the fountain of good. He's not seeking answers outside, in politics, wealth, or pleasure. He turns inward, because true power isn't in control of others. It's in mastery of self. And then, a line that's almost a whisper. Live not as though there were 1,000 years ahead of you. Every day matters. Every choice echoes. You don't have to be perfect, but you must be present. Section 4. Practical Takeaways, Stoicism in Our Time. Let's turn these ideas into tools for your life. Marcus tells you, get up even when it's hard. Accept change instead of resisting it. Speak only what is true. Let your thoughts match the person you want to become. Each moment is a decision. Will you blame or take responsibility? Will you distract or return to your center? Will you avoid death or use it to live better? You are not here to be entertained. You are here to grow, to serve, to become. Like Marcus, you don't need an audience. You need inner clarity. And that begins with choosing reason over reaction again and again. In the rush of life, we forget how to be still. In the noise of the world, we forget how to listen to ourselves. But Marcus Aurelius never stopped listening. This is Deep Journey into Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, the notes of a Roman emperor written not for an audience, but for his own soul. And yet, across centuries, these words have become a map, a compass for those seeking peace in chaos. In this part, we enter books 8 and 9, where Marcus confronts power, pain, ego, and the ever-changing nature of life with unwavering clarity. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is a perfect moment to join this journey of the mind and spirit. Let's dive in. Your mind will be like the sphere of fire, rising straight up, consuming nothing, needing nothing. A flame that seeks only to rise. He urges himself not to fear death, for death is natural. What is unnatural is to live dishonorably, to abandon reason, or to chase illusions. He speaks again and again about returning to the present moment, the now, for that is where strength lies. Chapter 2. When Others Fail, Book 9. In Book 9, Marcus sharpens his lens further. He examines human behavior, not with frustration, but with understanding. If someone is mistaken, instruct them kindly and show them their error. But if you can't, accept it, because their soul is just like yours, drawn by ignorance. It's a radical kind of empathy. He doesn't excuse injustice, but he refuses to mirror it. And that's a lesson many forget, to fight ugliness without becoming ugly. Marcus reminds himself not to seek revenge, not to hold grudges, and certainly not to crave applause. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. If someone offends you, do not descend to their level. Rise above it, not to feel superior, but to stay in alignment with your higher self. He speaks of anger, a common vice in rulers, but he doesn't allow it to rule him. How much more grievous are the consequences of anger than the causes of it? He knows the cost of letting emotions govern decisions. That is why he returns again and again to his mantra, control your mind. Direct your thoughts. Return to reason. Chapter 3. The View from Above. A recurring meditation in these books is the cosmic perspective. Marcus steps back, far back, until his problems shrink to specks. You are a soul carrying a corpse, and soon you will return to the dust. It's not meant to depress. It's meant to liberate. Why should we fear the opinions of others when they too will vanish? Why chase wealth or power when empires crumble? Why waste our days in arguments when the universe continues its endless dance, indifferent to our pride? He imagines the earth from above, cities like anthills, people rushing, shouting, dying, forgetting. And in that view, he finds clarity. All that matters is how we live now, justly, wisely, and with self-command. Chapter 4. Reclaiming the Inner Court. By Book 9, Marcus is weary, but more resolute than ever. He knows his body is aging, his reign is heavy, and enemies are near. Yet he returns, day after day, to his journal. His thoughts are less about ruling others, and more about ruling himself. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Obstacles are not roadblocks, they're the path itself. Pain is not an enemy, it is a teacher. Even death is not to be feared, but to be prepared for with calm dignity. And above all, he insists, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. So be careful what you think, because those thoughts will shape your world, whether into suffering or serenity. You've walked with us this far, you've sat beside the emperor in silence, learned his deepest convictions, and glimpsed the mind of a man trying not to conquer the world, but himself. We walk the final path through books 10, 11, and 12, where Marcus stares in the mirror of mortality and accepts, fully and finally, what it means to live and to let go. So breathe, sink in, and listen to the last meditations of the last good emperor. Book 10, Let the Inner Citadel Hold. Marcus writes as a man growing weary, but not weak. Wipe out imagination. Check desire. Extinguish appetite. Keep the ruling faculty in its own power. He returns again and again to a Stoic principle he has never abandoned. Reason must rule. Whatever chaos the external world throws at us, the mind must remain a citadel, untouched, unshaken. He tells himself to stop worrying about what others do. Their gossip, their judgments, even their betrayal. They're outside his control. But the mind? That's his kingdom. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Marcus reminds us that the measure of a person is not found in ambition or victory, but in integrity. Virtue, for him, is not a sermon, it's muscle memory. A man who lives by it does not have to perform goodness. He simply is good. He urges himself, don't be distracted by what's new or fashionable. Return to what is essential. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself and your way of thinking. So simple, so easy to forget. Here in Book 10, Marcus returns to the fundamentals. He detaches from fear. He detaches from desire. He sharpens his sword of reason. He readies himself, because he knows the end is not far. Book 11, Seeing the World as One. In Book 11, Marcus shifts focus from self to society. Here, he reminds himself, you are not alone. You are not born for yourself. You are part of a whole, a single living organism made of many minds. We were born to work together like feet, hands, and eyes, like the two rows of teeth, upper and lower. And when you resist this cooperation, you suffer, not because the world punishes you, but because you go against your nature. Marcus returns again and again to this core belief. Human beings are made for cooperation. So when someone wrongs you, remember, they are still your kin. Men exist for the sake of one another. Teach them then, or bear with them. These are not the words of a ruler hungry for control. These are the quiet thoughts of a man seeking peace. He urges himself to drop resentment. Anger, he says, is weakness dressed in pride. Let it go, and as you live, do so with simplicity, dignity, and patience. Don't chase applause. Don't imitate others. Be your own. Even if the world doesn't understand you, live as if the universe itself were watching. Because in a way it is. Book 12, The Last Pages. The final book of Meditations feels like a whisper before the candle goes out. Marcus writes, less about duty now, and more about release. All that you see will soon perish. Those who witness its perishing will soon perish too. Time is the great leveler. Empires fade, names vanish, and even memory cannot hold forever. But Marcus does not despair. He accepts it. He embraces it. Consider yourself dead. You have lived your life. Now take what's left and live it properly. These are the final words of a man who no longer fears death, not because he's numb, but because he understands. Everything in nature has its time. A leaf falls when it must. A wave recedes after it crashes. A flame goes out when its fuel is gone. When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. And so, Marcus prepares to go, not with fear, but with reverence. He does not ask for more time. He asks only for the strength to meet his end as he lived, with reason, with dignity. So this is the end, the final page of a journal never meant for us. A Roman emperor wrote to himself, quietly, privately, not to impress, but to improve. He never knew these meditations would echo across centuries into your headphones, into your quiet nights, into your questions. And now, maybe you see what Marcus Aurelius saw. That life isn't about grand victories or perfect days. It's about showing up every morning with a mind ready to see clearly, act justly, and endure what comes with grace. It's about understanding that you are just a small part of a vast universe. And that's not something to fear, but something to find peace in. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This wasn't a man with easy answers. This was a man wrestling with life, with war, with betrayal, with illness and death, and choosing, over and over again, to return to virtue. He tells us, don't waste time chasing fame. Don't worry what others think. Don't fear death. It's just a part of nature's cycle. What matters is how you live now, how you carry yourself in this moment, how you treat others, even when no one is watching. Because in the end, character is all that remains. If this series has stirred something in you, if Marcus Aurelius has helped you pause, reflect, or breathe a little deeper, then I invite you, subscribe to the Tunnel of Sane. This isn't just a channel. It's a space for seekers, for thinkers, for people who want more than noise. We explore the wisdom of history, not to admire it, but to apply it. So join us. Share this journey with someone who needs it, and carry the Stoic flame forward in your thoughts, your actions, and the quiet strength you bring to the world. Because you don't need to be an emperor to rule well. You just need to master yourself. Thank you for walking this path with us. Stay present. Stay steady.